Welcome to Trading Lounge on the US tech stocks. We'll take a look at the S&P and the NASDAQ. We also have the Thanksgiving coming in this week, so we could probably expect lower volumes to come in for Tuesday and Wednesday coming into that Thanksgiving Thursday. So I would imagine that we're going to be hanging around the 6,000 here. Now we may be above the level or below the level. If we consider this line here as the 6,000 here, we've had this pattern to this point. We've had the arrival, we've had the reaction. We're sitting about here at the moment. Now there is a count where we can go a little bit higher and closer to the 6,000 and then come down from that point. We're going to be looking at that. Or we'll be pushing up to anywhere between the 6,050 and the 6,100, and then we'll have a correction at that point. So we'll get this classic trading levels pattern at the 6,000, and the NASDAQ will be there as at the 21,000. So we won't be going far because we're at large numbers, and we've got those holidays there. Now, speaking of holidays, I'm going to take the opportunity to go see my lovely mother on the other side of the country. So I'm going to leave Wednesday morning, so there'll be no video on Wednesday morning, and I'll be back on Tuesday. So videos on Tuesday. If there needs to be an update, I'll do that on the laptop. Now this particular count here is on the weekly chart, and it's a bullish count, and you know, we've had the elections and we've had earnings, and it's put a bit of a, it's kind of a weird sort of dog leg into the market there, and it's not too weird. It can just be counted in different ways. So I do have a couple of different ways to count that. I do see quite firmly though that, you know, that the banks here, we haven't looked at the banks for a while, that the banks still need to move higher. This is Goldilocks here, Goldman's, and so we've got the 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2. You could place this as 3 and 4 on some of the banks there as well, but whichever way that you look at the banks, this is the other way to look at this one here as 1 and 2 on Morgan's here, on JP. And if we did have a look at Morgan Stanley, we looked at this before. This is a weekly chart here. You know, markets are just trends and corrections of different degrees, and when you have a trend, there's always a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the middle is normally in stocks the most powerful point. So you can see here, this has got to be the middle here. So these 1s and 2s here, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, you could view it as, would still need 4s and 5s to finish off here. So the banks have definitely got more to the upside, and so, you know, they're going up, well then, you know, most of the indices will be going up as well. So it's just, we're in a bullish market. It's just how we're going to go up, because I just sort of see that there is a possibility that we can have a correction here at this point. So we want to have a look at that, but just taking on board this one here on the weekly and going on to the daily chart here, just to point out, this has been, you know, this has been our original count, and I've had other counts that we sort of look at and we talk about it on the way, and you know, some folks think, well, maybe, you know, I change my mind too often and all those sort of things. It's possible, but you know, I like to continue to look at other people's ideas from members and so on, and you know, just continually chat about the trend, really, you know. So this is just been the basic primary count to the upside, with 1 and 2 and looking at 3, 4, 5 to the upside here, and looking at 5. Basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get all the stocks into this wave 5 here. Now there's some stocks like Google and Microsoft that have been in corrections, you know, since July. So you know, so I'm sort of considering them being in wave 4s. But when we do get a top, a serious top, then most of those markets are going to fold into that. So I'm basically herding all the animals up into this this number here for that. So just to give you a bit of an idea. Now, like I said, with Google and that, we've got this wave 3 sitting over here for Google, and we're looking at, you know, wave 4 here for Google and so on, finishing off and so on, so, and Microsoft and so on. So this is one count here where we just push up and make a new high here and then have an ABC here. This is the classic trading levels pattern, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC, and and so on at that particular point. The other count that we've got is slightly different, and that will be on this chart here. And this chart here, if I just come back to the beginning here, which is looking at this as wave 1 here and 2 here, then 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 of smaller degree, 3, 4, 5. So from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 up here for this. So we'll look at that look at that top in a moment. So basically we've got 1 and 2 here, and we're looking at this particular top here being a wave 3. So I'm just going to bring these back here because I've made 2 videos this morning, and unfortunately the volume didn't work for a particular reason of my doing. Of course, I was the only one there, unfortunately, and we're just redoing. I'm just redoing those 2 videos. So the story was, so some of these charts have got some text written on them that I need to sort of rework a little bit. But we could have this wave 3 up here, right? So from 4 to 5 here, and then have a larger correction and ABC pattern here. It's possible to have that here. Now, also what's possible as well with this particular count here, the way that I've got it counted, it's also possible if I just remove these for a moment and I put this little 5 up here, and I put this 5 here and this 3 here, and drag all these around up 1 degree, we could also, this is why we need to be a bit careful, we could also have a point, a move up here, and then have a larger correction, and then a move up there. That's also possible as well. I mean, of course, anything is possible, but I mean, when I say these things, there's a fair bit of work gone into them. But no matter what happens, what we'll do is that we either come to here, here, and here, and then we're going into a correction, or we're going to be coming here and here where we are at the moment, and then push up here. Now, when we push up here, we will end up having the first high above the level, then we'll end up just having a corrective pattern here. Now at that point we can just simply look, and this will be probably after the holidays, and then we can look at any breach of that. We'll be going long at that point, but at this point here we could also have a larger correction here, so we need to be a little bit careful around here. It's not a problem. We know we're in a bullish market. We know that we can have a correction there. We know that the banks are sort of topping out in their 3s and 4s and all that sort of stuff. They got to sort of pull back a little bit. Like Morgan's here, so having a 3rd and 4th here. So we know that it's pretty simple to see 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. I could put 5 over here. I'm going to put it over here, and we could put this here. But that's going to have some correction across the 250 here. So we're going to have this here. On the banks as well. So to have a correction here is not such a big thing. It's just I'm always sort of safety first. So we will just be cautious about everything. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to put this one over here, and I'm going to put this one over here. But as it stands at the moment of looking at this here, now this is the other reason that now I want to talk about this in here a little bit. So to do that, I'm just going to go to the intraday, and we have talked about this all last week. So this current high up here, the situation is that in this market, as you know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then we should have an A and a B and a C wave coming back to the 61.8% and then going down. But in this case, there's no supply here until we get into this zone here. So we're just hitting supply now, and we saw Friday not move very much here, and I was aware of that because there's no major blocks in this little section here, so it was a pretty free run for it to have. But now hitting this point here, it's coming into supply, just meaning sellers, and this is where the resistance will be. We've also got the holidays as well. So this move here is in 5 waves, so we should have an ABC correction and then down again. Now on the cash market, and same with the NASDAQ, we only have 3 waves down here, so we could make a new high here. But also too, if we're talking about being in a wave 4 here, then being this a wave 4, then we could also just go straight up from there. But having 5 waves down here and 3 waves down here also means that we can be in a larger wave 4 over here. So I'm just being a little bit cautious, and like I said, we either we either get up here somewhere and we come down, or we continue to the upside up to 6-1 roughly, and then we have a correction across here. So a classic trading levels pattern with the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. So yeah, we are seeing diminishing ranges to the upside last week coming in here. So what I mean by that is the first move here was quite long, and then this move here was, it is what it is, but it's even difficult to count 5 waves in that move there because they've got overlapping wave structures. And then we're seeing this move here. I could go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and have it really bullish, by the way. I get it. But I wanted to just be cautious and look at this as 3, 4, 5 to finish off here, with the understanding that we could end up being up at 6-1 and having a slightly different pattern. But you'd think that coming into Thanksgiving that the volume will start diminishing in there, and also coming into this large number here, and also the top here as well. We ain't going very far from here. And the stocks that I'm looking at are not really taking us very far either. So when we come into the NASDAQ, it's the same. I won't go into the bigger picture. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and we could be going up for an ABC pattern here. We're going to be going high. There's no resistance here. The supply is up here where I've got this banner up here that I've talked about before, and we could also take out the top here as well. So we'll either get to here and drop, or we'll get up to here and then have a correction. So not a lot going on this week, I reckon, in terms of the trend to the upside for these. So based on that, we'll go and have a look at stock. And sorry, I've already got drawings on here because I had to redo the videos. But with Apple here, it is possible to put wave 2 over here as an ABC, as I mentioned before, but there weren't any other sort of stocks except for the banks that were driving that kind of pattern to the upside. So I'm trying to figure out an ABC pattern that will come above the 230 area here, the top of minor group 1, and then have some sort of correction. Now, if once we do make a high here, it will pull back, and we'll have these highs to go long on at either the top or the second high here, or otherwise we pull back down here for that, so we'll just see. We don't have a setup here at the moment, and we've been here for a month, understanding that we're not going anywhere, and we understand that we're coming into supply, and we don't have a trade set up, and so there's nothing really to see here for Apple. And then we come over to Amazon, and if I could just go back out, because I never really set this back up for the video from the previous video. Why is it taking so long? It's 10 o'clock, the platform's resetting, so it's just going to be jumping around a little bit while they do the stuff at the back end. Okay, so anyway, at this point, so basically from the top here, we've got 5 waves down. We had 5 waves down here, so we know that we'll get an ABC correction, and then we're going to get another 5 down. So currently we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've got to go down for 5. Now, when we get down to this 5 here, we could just push up here and start to make new highs again. But based on what I've just said with the S&P and the NASDAQ, we could end up going into a bigger correction. I need to make allowances for that. So what could happen is that I might need to change this wave 3 to another wave 3, a larger wave 3, and then we end up having this here as an A and a B and a C wave here, and then coming down here for a larger pattern as well. So I need to be a little bit careful about wave 4s, and but in the meantime, there's nothing going on here. We just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we'll just drill into that little area here on the 100 tick area here. So yeah, the A wave, the B wave, and coming down here, no change here at all, a little bit messy. Let me just get this in the frame. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here from that B wave top here. So 1 and 2 and down for the third wave. I'm putting the A and the B and the C over here because this doesn't give me 5 waves here, and I can squeeze 5 waves out of here. So I can go an A and a B and a C here for wave 4. If this low here is breached, then I know that I can call that wave 4 in here, because wave 4 may even get more complicated and I'll have to be over here for some sort of other weird pattern. But once that's breached there, we should be on our way down at 1 and 2 and coming out into wave 3 here we could put in a little wave 1 in here as well for this 1 and 2 in here, and 3 and 4 4 and 5 here for this wave 3 and 4 here and 5 to come down here a little bit further. So that's sort of where we are. So there's, you know, possible A wave down here, so a bigger pattern. So nothing really to do here. Can't go long before a big number based on this particular pattern anyway, and I don't really want to short it into the last section of this here, so we just stand aside on that. Sometimes there's I mean, most of the time markets all sort of move together. There's either a trade or there's no, you know, there's everything to trade or nothing to trade, you know. Okay, so because I made that video earlier and the sound didn't work, I just got to put a few things back together. So Nvidia, okay, so we've got this, when it had its earnings, it made a little high here. Now the high is pretty flimsy, but do we need to include it or don't we include it? That's the catch. So I don't really know. So when we get a little high like that, it was there for, you know, a very short time, not a lot of traffic at that particular point. It was just a news event. So do we include it or don't we include it? So normally what I do if I'm unsure, I just wait for a little bit more price action. And as that price action sort of unfolds, I can start to figure out how we should use that spike at the top there. So we're going to have a look at it on the intraday. But I wanted to point out a few things here. There's a few different ways to look at this, and I know that lots of people don't like, you know, so many counts, but sometimes we get into a jam and we need to put all the counts on the table and work through them one by one. So going back a little bit, we had this as wave 1 here and 2 over here. And we can have this as wave 3. I could put wave 5 over here because, as I've said before, we're trying to get everything into this wave 5 up here of, you know, wave 1 up here. That's the kind of the aim of everything. So I could put wave 4 here and look at this as just a B wave up here, so some sort of ABC pattern here for this, and then we can go up there for that. That kind of looks okay as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, so that's one way to look at it, and wave 4 will come back to the one previous wave 4 here, so that's one way to look at it. It's not giving me much time to get to this wave 5 here in terms of looking at Google and everybody else out there, so that's a little bit quick to have it this way. I could put the 5 waves in play here and put this wave 5 here, but I'm definitely not going to do that because it just makes all the timing too short for all the other markets. So that's definitely not going to be the case. So I can put wave 4 here. That's reasonable. It's still a little bit quick. So the other count for this would be well, I could put wave 4 here and wave 5 here. That would be one way to do it. I could bring wave 3 across here like we're doing with the SP500, but we can't confirm that yet. And then put wave 4 over here and have a bigger correction here. So that's a reasonable possibility. I can see in the bigger picture how I can do that. So that's okay. So this is one way of doing it. This is another second way of doing it. So we can have this wave 4 or we can have a bigger wave 4. Okay. Now the last one that we could do over here, if I can just put those back to here, is basically rearrange this here and put wave 2 over here and look at this here as 1 and 2 here, and I'll just change these out here, just excuse me for a moment, put wave 5 here, put wave 3 here and wave 4 here, because I know what I've got here is 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth and fifth here, and then put wave 1 here. Now this wave 1 here could come back down to this point here, so we'll see if wave 4 overlaps this wave 1 and with wave 2 here. So I've got 3 different patterns for this to play out here. So first of all, it doesn't really matter about long trades because you can see the 150 is a bit of a glass ceiling here, so we're not going anywhere. It's not, this market's not going anywhere, so you're not going to miss anything. So what we've got to do is we've got to figure out what type of correction are we going to be pulling back into here. If I just go straight, just to cut a long story short, if I can just go to 100 ticks, so that's just getting into that that's the earnings on the 20th there, so we've got that spike up to the top here. So we could view this as 1 2 3 4 5 here down for the A wave, and then 1 2 3 4 3 4 5 here for the A, the B, the 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 for third, fourth, and 1 2 3 1 2. Well, I could do that the other way. I could do that 2 ways. Doesn't really matter. It still gives me the ABC pattern here, and then we end up with this over here. So in this case, I just want to bring a bit more data in here for this. So so yeah, how do we use that spike, you know what I mean, or do we use it, you know? I can count 5 waves down to here. Now there may be another little low in here. It doesn't really matter. We'll get some sort of correction here, and then we'll probably end up coming down here further. So I'll see this and this. So I see us coming down here further. If I'm totally wrong and we can look at this as some sort of A, B, and C wave over here, well, then we'll need 5 waves over here for this. And when we get those 5 waves, we can go along on the B wave, the A, the B, and the C, or we can sort of refine it and get in here a little bit earlier. But at the moment here, we can't do diddly squat, so we just have to sort of wait it out and to see what we get. And especially if the NASDAQ and all that, some of the other markets move into a bigger correction, then there. But in the meantime, expect a bit of a rally to come into play for this, and we'll check it out in due course. Coming into meta platforms here, we're looking for I can look at this as an A wave and a B wave and a C wave here for a low into wave 4 here. I'm not really getting a nice impulse wave here, so I've got to be a little bit careful. So we're just going to look at this as also possibly coming down here further as well. So I'll just see how this goes. If I get this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, then we're going to buy the ABC pattern back here. We'll be going long over here if I get 5 waves off this current low here. I don't like to buy at the low. I could and get away with a lot of things most of the time, but I don't want to get people trapped. I want boxes ticked. I want evidence in place before we put our hard-earned spondoolies on the line. So having an impulse wave here would help us not only get, because if we get 5 here, we're going to get 5 over here. So it will help us with the trend. It will help us manage the exposure that we have, our initial exposure, and reducing that. So should be going up, but I don't want to call it in just yet. Netflix here, because of the holidays here, we've got a couple of positions in here. We took part profit the other day. We've got wave 4 here to wave 5 up here to wave 3. So this will be wave 3, and then this will be wave 4. I don't know how wave 4 is going to pull back. It could pull back to the wave 4 one lesser degree, or it may be quite shallow here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get out of this trade. So when it pops up here in the next session, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then probably, I don't know, this wave 4 could get more complicated, but we should push up. So we're going to take off the rest of the money on any new high here for this, or just keep a stop under here for this. And then once this unfolds here, then we'll get back in, because we should end up at 1,000 up here for this. If you want to hold through all this and you can hold your breath that long, then fine, stay in there, We'll come over to Alphabet, and in a bit of a nutshell, we're looking at this as being wave 1 up here with wave 2 pulling back here. But the C wave is a little bit sharp, so we either have to look at this as 5 waves down, so an A and a B and a C, and put the wave 2 over here, or we're going to have to look at this here, this wave 3 over here, look at this as 5 waves down here for the A wave, then an A and a B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the C wave of B here, and then coming down a bit deeper. So we're either going to have wave 2 down here lower, or we're going to have wave 4 of C down here. In the meantime with this, with still more lows to come here. So we've got this as wave 1 and 2 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave. There'll be a little fourth wave in here and a fifth wave, then an ABC for wave 2 and 3, 4, 5. So we'll either put wave 2 over here, or we'll have to come down a bit further for wave 2. We do not have a long trade here at the moment. Unless proven otherwise, I can get 5 waves out of this move up here. It sort of counts better as an ABC, but we'll just see how that plays out. So nothing really to go on here as well. And anyway, we don't really want to be buying before, getting into a trend before the holidays, unless you're sort of scalping indices and those sort of things, which can go a bit higher. So it's the same thing with Microsoft here. We've got wave 3 up here. We've always had wave 4 here with most of the other products, most of other markets, and the other markets have gone up. But Google and Microsoft haven't really gone up, and they haven't really given us a nice impulse wave up here. I would have liked to sort of jam a wave 1 in here, and wave 2 over here, and it may be doable, so I've got to be a little bit careful, Yeah, so once again here we should see a bit of a push up, but I think that we've still got more to come here. Now obviously there's some really good support at the 400 here, and we can see that it's shying off that already and shying here, so it wants to make a move to the upside. The only reason I'd go long here would be going long above the top of group 1 here, so trading levels 400, medium level 1, 2 and 3. So yeah, nothing really to see here. It's difficult to count this up as an impulse wave at this particular point, so we just got to be a little bit careful. It may suit as a wave 4 over here, but we're not there just yet. I won't spend any time on that. We've got Tesla here, that's in a trend to the upside, so we've got wave 3, wave 4 here, and we're going for wave 5 up a bit closer to the 400 here. Once again, this can be counted in different ways here, of 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, but yeah, it's a little bit tricky. I've had wave 2 sitting over here. It can go over here because I've got 3 waves up here as an A and a B and a C. Either way, we still need to make a new high above here. That's one thing. It is like being pinned down to the midpoint here at the 350 here, halfway mark between the 300 and the 400. I know that's obvious, but I'm just pointing out that halfway between anything is really always pretty much significant, unless you're in a parabolic move, but we're not. So we've got an old high here, so it's playing out here. So I've got this as 1 here and 2 over to here. It could be over here and I'll need to extend it up, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We can look at that as 3, 4, 5 for the 3rd wave, the 4th wave here, and the 5th wave. So we'll be going up higher here, so we'll just hold on to our longs. You could put a stop under this one here for the time being, just to manage any exposure there for that. That should not be breached. We don't want that breached. Of course, it's not up to us, but the market gods. But technically, with Elliott, that should not be breached. And if it is, well, then we shouldn't be in it. Okay, so we come over to Bitcoin, and we're looking at this as being wave 3 and 4, and coming up here for wave 5 of 3. So I've counted each individual wave here of 1 and 2. So we could put wave 4 over here, or put it over here. I could also extend this up, as I talked about in the other video that you didn't get. So we can look at this here as a little ABC pattern here and put wave 4 here. So I was going to have either wave 3 up here and we come back for wave 4 here, or we can have this as wave 4 here. Also wanted to point out here too that you know, when you come up to large, 1 is the strongest number in the market. This could be 1 cent, $1, $10, 100, 1,000, or whatever. It's still number 1. It's a strong number in the market, and people sort of recognize that as a place to buy and sell here. It's a strong marketplace sort of get together. So what we normally sort of see here is, I've drawn this little pattern here. We get this arrival, the reaction, and then it starts swinging here, you know, because it's just the way that it is. It just sort of swings. So expect something like this here. The other thing that I wanted to note as well is with Bitcoin here. This is the weekly chart for Bitcoin, okay? And here we can see this bar here is quite long, and then this one here is a bit smaller, and then this one here is a bit smaller. That's last week, okay? So we're seeing increasing volume to the upside on those 3 bars. But now we see, on this last bar, we see lower volume here. So we're not seeing the buyers there. We know that buyers have been in there and they've been coming in and all the rest of it, but now we're seeing lower volume there. So it's telling us that there's divergence between price and volume. So it gives us another indication that we should be, you know, that we should see this number 1 here as being a little bit sticky. So we're going to see this type of thing here, whatever happens. So you need to take the view of you'll hodl your way through this, or you'll trade your way through it. But as far as the crow flies, we'll need to push this up here and here and here for this, and look for this wave 4 over here, and we'll bump that up to here, and this up to here. I could probably put that. I'll double check on that before I go opening my gob, because I'll need to sort of sort out these here. I could put it like this. I could even squeeze it into that point there, which is probably the right way to go. But yeah, this type of behavior across this level here, and this will only be the initial swings at the market. There's going to be bigger swings than this across this number here. Okay, so we're not going very far from this number for a while. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.